So in this video we're going to do a particularly interesting topic, which is Rengar. Now, we've seen Rengar for a little bit over a year now, at least in the North American scene, and he hasn't been doing so hot. And I'm going to give you the reasons why. So let's just run over some quick things about Rengar. The rune setup. Now, I mentioned in the first video I made about certain rune setups that these Rengar players have been taking, and the one that I liked the most was Lifesteal. Now, what that did was removed almost all need to be purchasing health potions while jungling, and that is something that you don't see any competitive Rengars do. I haven't seen anyone in NA. Now, I'm not speaking for the world because I don't have access to all the runes that they run all the time. So, at least in NA, I don't see anybody in the LCS running Lifesteal, which leads to a lot of health potions being bought, and eventually you just fall behind in items. You know, champions like Lee Sin don't need to buy that many health potions, or Vi, so naturally you create a little bit of a discrepancy between the jungle items. Then we also have the builds. Now, there's nothing wrong about the builds. Mobility boots, CDR, tank, full AD. Full AD is the least, not the best one, but you know, some tank, maybe a little extra brutalizer, a Yomu's or a Cutlass, but those are fine. You just have to understand when it is necessary to go full tank and when you can go with a little bit of damage. Obviously, if you have another tank, you can go a little bit more damage. If you have a carry on your top lane, you need to go for tank. Now, here's where we get to the really important stuff about Rengar that is the reason why I think some teams are doing not very well with him. They become very predictable. What I mean by that is every team falls into the same trap, and not every team, by the way, most of them fall into the trap of playing Rengar as a passive farmer until level 6. Surprisingly enough, Rengar is a very strong 1v1 duelist in the jungle, like maybe to like Olaf or Lee, but he has a really good 1v1. Very surprisingly, because of the empowered Fury. So if you keep your Fury up, you'll be able to 1v1 many people, and with the Bola, with the CC that you have on that, your allies can collapse. It's really good. I mean, the teams that no, never mind. Before that, the so you can always go for this on any jungler, especially things like Jarvan or Rengar. Just go around, go behind mid laner, flash Bola. It's gonna miss. He's gonna flash. He'll probably flash it. Great, you just burn flash for flash at level 3 to 4. Now you farm. When you hit level 6, you get a free gank. You get a free gank, so you set yourself up for your future play. You don't see that very often. I think that that's something that a lot of junglers should be doing. And besides that, I've seen one team in the NALCS do really well with Rengar. I was really impressed with Impaler. Now, he did it 2 games in a row, but regardless, he went bottom lane at level 4, level 3, goes for a gank. Easy, burn a lot of summoners. That's great. Keep the enemy guessing, because what happens is if you go under the same pattern of just farming until level 6, yeah, sure, you're going to farm faster than the enemy, but now they know exactly what your game plan is. You're not going to do anything until level 6, which gives the enemy a lot of free time to kind of control the pace of the game with Rengar not being involved, and I think that's a big mistake. And then there was a team in, I believe, the LPL, and I'm not sure if it was the LCK, and I don't remember the name, but the Rengar just went in and invaded the other guy, just like, you know what, fuck you, and he went in and just took the enemy's blue buff, I think against the Lee Sin as well, just took the buff right from under him, and just started fighting the other guy as much as he could. That's a great style too. Make yourself unpredictable. That's the theme of the champion. That's what playing Rengar is like. You need to be, you're a hunter, right? You need to be unpredictable. They can't know where you're going to be at all times, which goes under the next category, which is going to be vision control, and more importantly, your early vision control. Now, on your first buy, everybody on your team should be buying wards, and this is going to be very important. It's not going to be like other strategies, because, well, not everybody, but everybody that you want to apply pressure with. Ideally everyone, but it's not necessary, because the map is split in half, and you need to make sure that you know that your half is completely yours, and that their half is theirs. because that half gives you complete control over your side, which means that you have a lot more places that you can ulti from, and the enemy can't see it coming. That's what you want. That's exactly what you want. Now obviously, aggressive wards are always better, but sometimes you may have weaker lanes that need a little bit of help. Just put the wards back, and now you'll be able to know when the enemy is deep warding your own jungle, and the Rengar can see, you know, they have a side on this side. Where do I have to clear a ward to make sure that I can set myself up for the future? It's all about that setup. And to top that off, the division in the map that separates one side from the other is also the most important aspect of playing Rengar. And what I mean by that is the first line of towers are the farthest that an enemy or yourself can go out and feel safe. So if you lose your outer towers, that means that your vision line now goes back one tower, which is a lot of room. And it's a lot of room, especially when you take into consideration the jungle. As Rengar, being someone that can chase someone down for being overextended, it is very important, more important than pretty much anything while playing Rengar, to take the early towers, especially the mid lane tower. So a lot of teams fail to prioritize tower taking on these champions and just go for picks for like a dragon, when the towers are going to be the most important thing. Because what happens is, if you're able, let's say you play the game out, right, and you're the team that has Rengar, and you prioritize towers. So let's say the enemy went for a really early dragon, and they took dragon around, I don't know, 10 minutes. You took top tower instead. Right off the bat, the top laner is relegated to his tier 2, which means that he's going to be sitting really far back, and if he extends for 1 second, his line of sight cannot be pushed up to where it was before, or he's going to be unsafe. At least a proper team vision should be able to have denied that. So he's going to be really far back and scared, and the second he extends, Rengar, jump him, great. Let's say you give up that second dragon, and now you all of a sudden at 16 minutes you got that tier 2 tower as well, and the enemy's got 2 dragons, but you have the mid tower now. Now the enemy mid laner has to be playing far back, because now he cannot be pushing to the same level that he was before. So now their vision is has diminished by a lot, by 2 tower levels. So the entire red side jungle, if they're purple side, is now pretty much yours. Their wards cannot be that deep anymore. Your wards can. So now you've opened yourself up for a lot more places for Rengar to be unpredictable in, and for the enemy to not know where he's coming from. And then you take that third tower, and obviously you don't have to give up a dragon by this point, but you're able to really abuse that line of sight and always punish the enemy the second they overcommit, because 1 pick is enough to take an objective, and that's the point of a pick comp. So the same goes for the reverse. It is imperative to not give up your towers as playing with Rengar, because what happens is, if you give up your towers, your own line of sight is now a lot smaller, which gives you a lot less opportunities and places for you to ulti safely. So now your only places for ultimate are in the lane, through lane. And if you don't have your Mobies, or if you don't have the bone tooth stacks to get the movement speed, you're not going to get that gank more often than not. So really making sure that your towers stay up while the enemy's towers go down is the most important thing with Rengar. Same goes in solo queue. Let's say you see an opportunity where the enemy mid laner is low. Your mid lane is pretty healthy. Now you can go for some counter jungling and take the other guy's wolves or grump, and then just recall. Instead, what you should be doing is drop wards on those sides, maybe 1, maybe 2, and then go middle and start hammering on that tower, because Rengar kills towers pretty fast as well. Not as fast as before, of course, but enough to make a difference. So now, as soon as you take that tower, that mid laner is scared shitless, because Rengar is really strong at ganking lanes that are overextended. So taking those towers is going to be #1 priority. And the last couple of things are lanes that don't give your gank away. This is pretty huge because a lot of times when the Rengar is nearby, your lanes start playing differently, you know. They start acting as if their jungler is there, they want to play more aggro, or they change their playstyle too much, and that gives it away. And when you give it away, you're wasting Rengar's time, and Rengar has to be effective. It's a hunter, effective, quick, and precise. So if you, I guess those are synonyms, but anyways, you cannot have laners that give it away, because what's going to happen is you're going to get either counter ganked or you're going to get baited. But a lot of time, enemies are actually stupid. Now this is something I want to mention. If you play against Rengar, if you see an exclamation mark on your face, just flash. Don't be a greedy bitch and just flash. Just take the flash. You just blew an ultimate. That is huge. Now you're not seeing how impactful it is to burn a Rengar ultimate in the early game and him not get anything out of it. That is a huge thing. So taking a flash for it and not losing lane, not dying, is huge. Just flash. Flash, and there he goes. Now he's useless. Force an easy dragon fight. Things like that. And then, same goes for the Rengar though. A lot of these Rengars have a lot of hesitation in using their flash. Which means they're going for a gank and they're thinking, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna wait for the exclamation mark to come up, you know, circle the guy, see where I can get my bola from. Like, do I want to go now? Do I want to go now? I've given the guy 3 seconds to know that I'm coming. Okay, I'm going now. And now all of a sudden, you gave that gank away for so long, there's a higher chance of getting counter ganked. You give the guy more time to think about what's happening. And the one that I really liked, how that did not hesitate in using his flash, just flash bola, which is what you should be doing. Just flash bola. It's a great kill. 1 kill on Rengar, snowballs the game. Just keep going. But Shook from Alliance, beautiful with the Lysandra middle. Always just flash, flash in, flash, 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 flash. Every time gets a kill. If you mess it up mechanically, that's not. I mean, sure, but getting that kill for your flash is always worth it. And then, lastly, this is where a lot of the Rengars start falling apart, which is the burden of using your ultimate. What I mean by that is that the Rengar ultimate in the team composition is usually one of the most important ones. And a lot of times Rengars can use it a little bit overzealous and get ahead of themselves. And then a play is created in which they can go into someone, but the follow-up won't be that good. Maybe I miss abilities, have to back off. You know, it doesn't seem like my team can follow me up too well. I'm going to go in anyways. I use my ultimate already. I don't want to look bad. I don't want to slow the game down. I don't want to have such a mess up that my team is going to suffer for it. I'm going to go in anyways. And then they go in, and now all of a sudden you got a Rengar that is useless, because if there is no follow-up on your ultimate, unless you're fighting in the jungle, you're dead weight. And then they go in, and then ultimates are down from the beginning of the fight, and then you end up losing the fight because you overcommit. You need to recognize that you messed up and back off. Just leave. Accept that, okay, we messed up. Game became a lot harder now, but we're going to have to play it this way out, otherwise we would lose. And that's what happens. I want to give the example of the Elements versus the SK game. They're doing fantastic. Their early game was great on Rengar, and then one fight that you overcommit, you lose. That's the way the champion works. You know, you mess up one fight badly enough, and you're going to end up losing. And of course, super vision denial. This is just a tiny little bit vision denial for playing with Rengar. So if you get ahead with the vision line, always buy those offensive pink wards. You know, the spots that the enemy's putting their defensive wards, that's where you're taking over. Make them really scared. It becomes your jungle now. It's psychological. And when you play against them, always carry pink wards, by the way. Like, especially if you're grouping up, the second you see an exclamation mark, drop a ward. Drop a ward and just start dropping wards all over the place. And now all of a sudden, the Rengar is thinking, shit, if I'm actually here, I'm going to get popped instantly before I can even CC anyone. Do I really want to do this? And you can actually kill him because he's invisible right next to you most of the time. So carry pink wards and just be ready. Like if you have a pink ward out on the map already, you're gonna have to buy another one, drop it in the team fight, and sacrifice giving position of your old ward, or have somebody else buy it, because it is that important to fuck with Rengar's ultimate. And if you don't do that, if you give him opportunities to get picks, he's just gonna get out of control. So hopefully you guys enjoy this and can apply this to your own games in solo queue. And just be sure to tell him. Man, I really choked there. Anyways, just tell me any more topics that you'd like to talk about, and I'd love to make a video about them. Thanks for watching.